Let's give her a go. Audio sounds good to me. But what do I know? What's up, everybody? All 5 of you. Let's go. That are still here. The summer lull. What up, Sep? Yeah, Solana ETF application. Pretty wild. Pretty wild if you ask me. Thanks, Joey. We'll get started here in a few. What's up, Karen? If anybody wants me to talk about anything, let me know. What's up, Solstice? Moon traders absolutely wrecked. Got a little bit of an Adam and Eve situation on the BTC. Haven't looked at a Solana chart today, but I saw it was up quite a bit for a minute there. What's up, bud? Turtles all the way down. So Brant, I just think it's hilarious that it was going to be ETH's big week with the ETFs, and we get these Solana headlines. I just think that's absolutely hilarious, personally. I love to see it. I love to see it. There's nothing tastier than ETH maxi tears for me. I don't know what it is about it. I just I can't get enough. I just can't get enough. I wonder if the other GBTC equivalents, but for multi-coin basket, it's like GDLC and what's the other one? BitW. Bet those are up today. UJ up today. Oh boy. Joey. What's up, Blake? Abe? Oh man, Berg. Snek. If it's on TradingView, I'll take a look. If it's not, oh, you're in luck. You're in luck. What do you think I'm going to say about this chart? Immediately, I know what I'm going to say. But what do you think I'm going to say, Berg? Yeah, that's a good idea. I forget to look at the BTC pairs on legacy stuff, but I should do that more often. Pop quiz, Berg. Anyone else? What does this Snek chart look like to you? We're gonna start this early just so I can say that this chart looks horrifically awful. What did you think I was gonna say? What did you think I was gonna say? Is this supposed to be a good looking chart? I mean, immediately, this is all I see, right? What else am I gonna say? Boom. Boom, boom, boom. Like, done. I don't need to think about it other than that. This is bearish, dude. Snek ADA. Is this an ADA meme coin? Is that what this is? Oh man. This is the importance of just having basic knowledge. I figured it was a meme coin, but just basic knowledge of chart patterns. It's clearly below the daily cloud. The cloud is telling you, leave this thing alone. I've never looked at this chart in my life, and it's not like it takes a rocket scientist to see what's going on here. It doesn't mean it will go down. It just means it's going to have a very hard time going up and a very easy time going down. Definitely a bearish bias on this chart. I think best case, you could say maybe there's some sort of like triangle flag thing here. I don't even know. Not, no, the cycle's not over, Simran. Not a good looking chart. Not a good looking chart. All right, so what do we have today? We had, here's another example of that, by the way. This is not exactly a head and shoulders in my book. But I can't see this and be like, yeah, this is bullish continuation. It's just, that's just not what I was trained to see. It's kind of like, was it on the weekly? Yeah, so this, like, stuff like this can break up. It's just very unlikely. It needs, on its own, it will break down. It needs a catalyst. Here's BNB as an example, right? This whole thing, I wouldn't consider a bull flag. I would expect this to break down. It didn't, because that was Q4 2023 and literally everything was bullish. And at the very bottom, you had a inverted head and shoulders. If we zoom in on this, the very bottom. So like, look, there are ways to cancel out that bearishness. Here's the inverted head and shoulders. There are ways to cancel that out. And I'm not just saying this because I don't like ADA or meme coins. It's just, this just ain't it, right? I don't know. It's not for me. It's not for me. I can't expect to make money on that coin. That's all. What's up, everybody? Let's do a Peter Schiff chart, like gold. Is that what you mean? We can look at ADA. I looked at it on the, I don't know, my CoinGlass won't load for me. I looked at it on the alt video yesterday. They were having some issues with, am I blind? Am I not seeing it? Hold on. I'm a pancake, not a waffle. I can only do one thing at a time. Where is it? Is the volume that low? Okay, whatever. Apparently they had some issues with transactions on chain and the chain froze or something. There was congestion. I don't know all the details, but one of the Solana guys was talking about it. So take it with a grain of salt, but yeah, it is hot here. Somebody asked about ADA, so we'll talk about it, sure. Why not? There's only, what, like 2 of us here anyway? It's simple. We're below the cloud. That's not bullish. Is there a chart pattern here to save us? I don't see one. Is there a divergence here? We can check RSI for that. I don't see one. I wouldn't expect to see one here just yet. And what you want on a divergence is a lower low in price and a higher low in RSI. So on the daily, we don't have that. So there is not a bullish divergence just yet. Down here on the 4-hour, no divergence because you didn't make a lower low, but clearly something's trying to happen. It's just, I say this all the time, it's harder for coins like this to do anything. It's Solana's day, right? It's ETH's week. It's Bitcoin's year. It's ADA is not in the general eye of the general public that I see. So it's just going to be harder for this stuff to catch a bid. That isn't to say you can't trade. Can you still see that? Yeah. That isn't to say you can't trade this as a chart pattern and say maybe this is some sort of complex inverted head and shoulders or something. Like, yeah, it's a tradable setup, but is it a waste of time? Probably. Like, the expectation for this chart in the near term would be exactly where the cloud is telling you at 042. So like, you know, if that's worth it for you in your book and your risk profile and blah blah blah, sure. But there's no div there. The daily looks, if anything, it looks oversold, but it certainly does not have a bullish trend. I prefer to trade stuff that's going up instead of down. And the weekly, there are all these weekly charts, we can pull them up. There are all these weekly cloud charts that look like they were trying and look like they might have had a chance, and that just has gotten pushed back, and we can pull them up. It's just another way of saying liquidity is very tight. Rates are very high relative to where they were. Let me find it. Hold on. Weekly. There it is. And that isn't to say these things can't ever go up again. It's just opportunity cost and timing, you know? Like, it's just not the time. In my opinion. Just not the time. These are all of the edge trades that I've been talking about for a long time. They all fell out of the cloud at this point. And that isn't to say these won't work out eventually. Like, clearly, Decentraland may be the best example of these. There's some sort of triple bottom attempt, maybe, right? It's way too early to call that now. But the first step was staying in the weekly cloud. Didn't do that. Okay, what's the next thing? Trying to find some multi-year triple bottom at this point. Like, I think this stuff's going to be ready in November 2024. Like, it's going to be something around the election. It's going to be something around rates and liquidity and all. Like, it's all going to come to a point where it's still lining up for Q4, in my opinion. Even if this fails here, I still think Q4 is a decent shot. So I wouldn't be loading the boat on this stuff. I wouldn't really be paying attention to it, but that's the next best time when I think this stuff has a chance. So anyway, a lot of stuff looks like this. Like, we can go down the list. Most of the coins look not great, and that's on USD terms. On BTC terms, they look even worse. It's like, what are we doing? Why are we wasting our time, right? That's just how I feel anyway. Chain was congested. Someone opened a massive short and tried to DDoS Cardano. Okay, well, did it work? All right, Bitcoin. So first thing I always check when I go on a Kraken is volume for the day. On the USD pairs, Tether is at the top. Usually that's less bullish, let's say, to see stablecoins at the top of the list. On the BTC pair, Solana at the top. That makes sense based on the news. ETH number 2 and everything else very quickly. You know, there's a long tail here, but if you look at the volume column, not much volume on most of the BTC pairs. So most of the action is Sol and ETH, and for some reason DOT. Again, you're just getting, on a relative basis, you're getting diluted against BTC nonstop. Nonstop. So like, what's the point? You know, this is like, it's like the UJ argument, the USD JPY. The rates are just better on our side of the pond, and this should keep going down relative to BTC for the same reasons. It's just a better trade. There are different inflation expectations. There's different yield expectations. I don't know. I don't get it. Some people are here. They don't understand this argument. They disappear. They're never to be seen again. And then there's this fresh group of people every cycle that are like, oh man, you know, this is so undervalued. It just, a lot of these coins, really, really going to be tough to do anything. An ETF is not a use case either. So even if DOT gets an ETF, okay, like, is it going to be able to sustain that? Is it going to be able to hold inflows? I don't know. I don't know. I got the old W hat on because We need it. We need it on the Bitcoin side. My perception of this is anybody looking at this chart is immediately going to say, this is a double top. You guys and gals can tell me differently, but I think anybody looking at this is going to say, this is bearish. This is a short. I could be wrong, but that's my expectation. Maybe I'm giving people too much credit, because I talk with some bears and they're like, nobody's seeing this, bro. Nobody sees that it's an M double top. Like, how do they not see that? It's in your face. It's as in your face as it is, or as it was here. It's the same setup potentially. I'm not saying it's going to be the same outcome, but it's on the table for sure. When you have 15 days, I think it was it 15 days? This is still a red candle on a 3-day. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're working on our 6th 3-day red candle, just nonstop. So that's not great. From just a shoot from the hip, just like the Snek chart, right? Shoot from the hip, this thing is bearish. Shoot from the hip, most people are going to look at this Bitcoin chart on technicals and they're going to say this is bearish, flat out. And if they don't say that, they're kidding themselves. Okay. Another reason we're bearish here, I'm not saying we're going to break down, but if we do, watch out. So another reason we're bearish here, bearish TK cross, bearish cloud. The next step to being bearish is closing below the cloud. If we close below the cloud with all this stuff being bearish, I mean, that's the ball game. Okay. That is when we start talking about 44 to 48. I don't think we'd see sub. So this was the ETF open, right? Where was it? Like 40 down there. I don't think we'd see below that for at least for a sustained period of time. Not saying none of this can't happen or is impossible. It's just, how bearish could we get? We kind of need, we need other stuff to happen for this to get bearish. We need the Fed to get more hawkish. We need to get hikes back on the table. We need to get inflation rising again. So I don't think it's just going to happen on its own. It's going to need like a shove, but that is a possibility here until we're back above the cloud up here, which is basically like 65. It's not looking great. It's not looking great. We're in firmly neutral territory here, but you could say this is a bear flag. I don't think it's going to necessarily play out like that, but you could say this is a giant bear flag. You could also say this low time frame thing is an Adam and Eve. It's kind of up to the bulls to actually make a higher high. We have not made a higher high since we started going down, right? If I pull up the BTC pitchfork on low time frames, we are in the 2-hour cloud, still below the midpoint of this pitchfork. There's clearly a double bottom attempt here. Just like that ADA example, like this, is this tradable? Sure. Am I confident that it plays out? Not really. What am I doing? 2 decimals. Not really, but it's a trade. This would be the trade. It would be, I don't know, pick a spot. Let's say like there. So if we can get back above the 2-hour cloud, back above 63, like then we can start talking. And the other issues here are we're between a pivot, we're underneath the key June. Like this just does not look great right now. It can look much worse. It just doesn't look great. So we've got the key June at 64.2. We've got the 20-week moving average at 64.2. We've got the pivot at 62.7. So there's some stuff above us. There's a ton of volume stuff up here, I bet, with VPVR. Where is it on this chart? I don't have it on this chart. There's going to be a lot of overhead resistance at this point with people who, really? Did they change it? Is it VRVP now? There we go. There's going to be a lot of overhead resistance from people who are underwater. So that's not going to be fun to fight through. 50? Is that what we want? No. Sorry, I got to set this up again. Row size, 50. No difference. Nope, 50. Let's do 250. There we go. So there's a volume node at 63. There's a volume node at 67. If we can get just back to the higher 60s, I'd feel better. So can an ETF from ETH pull us up there? I don't know. Can a Solana ETF application pull us up? I don't think so. I don't think so. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I think it has less to do with the selling and more to do with dollar strength at this point. I tweeted it out, but if we pull up, let's pull up the index. And let's do this, USD/JPY. Like this chart's only headed in one direction, higher. If we compare that to BTC, we have been pretty tightly correlated to this. So that concerns me. It concerns me that if I can figure out how to work this chart. What's going on? Oh, this is inverted. Okay. There we go. So it concerns me that we're so tightly correlated to this because it's only going in one direction. So clearly today, for the first time, I don't know about for the first time, but you can kind of see it there. Every time we attempt a move away from this correlation, it just snaps back, snaps back, snaps back. So if this can actually play out while UJ is going to oblivion, that would be a great first step, right? I was in the miner selling and government selling camp for a while, but I'm more in the dollar correlation camp right now. Clearly all the selling isn't helping us. Clearly all the lack of inflows not helping us. But this to me seems like the most important immediate correlation we need to break. So we have PCE tomorrow in the US. That's an economic data print. The Fed relies on that more than CPI for rate decisions. I don't think it's going to come in high. What is it called? Fed Nowcast? Nowcast? So we may see here's PCE, 2.6, 2.56 on core. Are we to their target? No, but are we decently close enough to maybe cut, considering jobs are looking where they're looking? Maybe. So I don't know, it's up to them. But we're headed in the right direction, depending on what they want to look at. I did notice today that Trueflation hit sub 2% in the US. Also a good sign that we're headed in the right direction. We can say we don't believe the numbers, but I trust Trueflation over the CPI at least. Trying to pull it up here. $1.99. The 1-year low is 1.97. So we're headed in the right direction. Is it enough for the Fed to say we're going to cut? Do they want to cut ahead of the election? I don't know. I think they're going to have, I think there's going to be one cut now, one cut December, one cut in December. Well, no, September, December. It's either going to be July, December, September, December. There's going to be some, I'm assuming there's going to be one cut because the jobs numbers are going to look not so great. But hey, I could be wrong. But the lower PCE goes, the more likely rates are to come down, the higher the likelihood that we start to see less dollar strength. It's not going to go away completely, but it's going to be helpful. There's still going to be that headwind. So this to me is way more important than Germany selling or Gox coins unlocking. This needs to break first. So anyway, but yeah, that's a tradable low time frame pattern. I'm just not super confident it's going to play out until tomorrow when we get that number. But man, this does not look as bullish as it did. And I was saying to the people in the Discord, like, I wouldn't have traded this any differently. I put some hedges on up here, and I still have the hedges on. But what the cloud is telling you is like, okay, we lost the cloud, we lost the Kijun. There goes the bullish expectation for now, right? So the next time we curl up, the bullish expectation comes back on the table, but I wouldn't do anything differently. Regardless of, clearly I was wrong, it didn't keep going, but I wouldn't have done anything differently. Let me read chat for a sec. Is this cycle over? No, he said no. We took a look at ADA. What's up, Theo? Thanks for all the rewatch enjoyers. I myself am a recording enjoyer because I can watch it on 2x. What would it take me to be a Sol bull? I mean, I traded Sol. I was bullish Sol. It's the same argument. It's always the same. My analysis never changes on anything. It's always the same. If we're above the cloud, I'm bullish. If we're in the cloud, I'm neutral. If we're below the cloud, I'm bearish. So until Sol can get back above the cloud, I don't see a trade here for me. Everybody's going to think they're going to be able to like pick the low and whatever. Okay, sure. It's just not for me. I prefer the trend. So we don't have that now. Firmly ranging. It was interesting that along with the BTC sell-off, Sol sold off quite a bit. Sol was down 25% in a month. Somebody brought up that maybe it was Jump. Is it Jump? Maybe somebody was selling like their stack of stuff. I don't know. Possible. But right now, this does not look good. If we can get back above 156, then I think there's a leveraged long trade to take. I just don't think that's right now. I'd rather just wait, give it a couple weeks, see what happens. Still above the weekly cloud. That's good. There's still an M double top possibility on Sol. You know, all this stuff, to me, it's not as much of a slam dunk as it was in Q4. And I'm not just saying that because it went up 200,000%. It's just a different environment than like pounding on horizontal resistance for 65 times. Like that's great. There's tons of examples of this on Legacy, by the way. Like if we pull up Amazon, look at Amazon. Let's merge all into one. Regular, uninvert. Like this is what you want, right? You want test after test after test after test after test of these levels, because that's telling you eventually resistance is going to break. Even on the daily, you can see it. This is an all-time high for Amazon, so it's in price discovery. It's got a little bit of this, parabolic curve to it, but great setup, great trade, looks good. This is not what we have here in Sol, right? So it just needs time. It just needs time. The same thing with BTC. You know, it's just ranging. There's not really much going on. The other issue is you've got legacy roofing, all-time highs, like everything. Google, like here's another one. Let's look at Google. Google's similar. Adam and Eve, ascending triangle, whatever, right? Like that's the trade that you want. Whatever this stuff is here, this is nothing. What is this? This is garbled nonsense. There's not a direction here to me that's immediately apparent. It looks like it leans bearish, but it's certainly not as bullish as some of the stuff in tech right now. So yeah, we need Sol above 160. Even then, a lot of this stuff, like the meme coins, a lot of this stuff is up so much. It doesn't go up forever. Eventually you hit a tipping point where the whales and the VCs and the funds, they cash out, and that's their trade. They took the big trade, they took the big long, and they probably won't get back in until they see sufficient evidence for exhaustion, right? These are the meme coins, and none of these look bad enough to buy. They're basically all at lows. Doge, SHIB. SHIB could retrace the entire leg back down to 10, whatever that is. I don't know what, that's not Sats, but Pepe probably looks the strongest amongst them. But even here, is there a trade here for me? No. There's not a pattern. It's flipping from bullish to bearish. Whiff. I don't see a trade here either. There was a massive, like again, the opposite of the Google and Amazon example. There's this massive diagonal support, or sorry, horizontal support that was just getting rocked over and over and over again. I just don't see a trade there. Bonk, same thing. Ranging mess. What is this, right? What is this? You could say, oh, it's down. You know, if we take this to like the hourly candlesticks, I bet you there's some pitchfork here or something, some channel, right? Let's just see. Is there anything here? Is it like this? Like this? No. Where are we talking here? I don't know. Like you can make some argument that this stuff is trying to bottom on some low time frame. I just don't trade low time frames, so for me, I don't see anything here. So I think broadly we just need more time. I'm just waiting for a better pitch, you know? Floki M double top. I'm just waiting for a better pitch. That's all. What else we got? Marathon is mining, yeah. Marathon. The premier Bitcoin miner decides, let's add an altcoin to the mix and justify it by saying it's profitable. Okay, let's see how that goes over for you. Yeah, we'll look at ETH, look at ETH BTC. If you just Google Ichimoku Cloud, you pull up the Wikipedia page, you can read all about it. It's going to do a better job than I can explain it in 5 seconds. But basically, it's just dynamic support resistance based on the 20 period and 60 period 50% retracements. That's basically all it is. Yeah, the other issue with BTC here, trying to find it, there it is. Like, we're still pushing the Bollinger Bands lower. That's the opposite of what you want to see if you're bullish. Like, show me strength at all. Show me anything. I don't want like a massive bounce here, but show me strength at the very least. So So that's the daily. It's walking down the bands. That's not bullish. This weekly squeeze is quite something, because in a bull market, we do not close below the 20 week. We just don't. So to see us sort of hanging out here, not a great sign. Not a great sign. Bollinger Bands are still tightening. Bollinger Bands tell you, or are telling you, expect volatility expansion soon. Okay, that's step one when they tighten. Step two is, if price is below the midpoint, expect volatility to the downside. So that would be fulfilling the M top prophecy, right? It's just we don't look great here. We don't look great. It could look worse. I know where it would be worse. I know where it would be better. And if you just have a plan, right? Have a plan. If we go sub 60, what is your plan? Are you buyer? Are you a buyer? Are you a seller? Are you a holder? Are you doing nothing? I don't care. I'm just saying, like, have a plan, because that might happen. Have a plan. Another way to look at this is we can pull up the, where is it? I gotta put it back on. So this is the 50, the 50 day, the 20 week, and the 200 day. Below the 200 day moving average, there's support at like 51. We can look at VPVR for this as well. There's support at like 51, and then it's 40, right? Those are the levels. There's not really much else here. It's like looking at the bonk chart or the whiff chart or any of these meme coins. SHIB, great example. Like this move up doesn't really have support, so it kind of has to figure it out. Kind of has to figure it out. Bitcoin, kind of the same thing. When you have these very quick moves up, you're not really building support. We built a tiny support at 51. So I'm more bearish below the cloud, below the 200. I'm more bullish above the 20-week moving average, above the cloud. It's just, there's no trade here for me yet. But the bulls got to do something soon. Soon being over the next month, okay? So if you get Bitcoin right, it's easier to get alts right, because if Bitcoin goes to 50 or 40, Sol and ETH and your favorite meme coin, probably not going to do great. Probably not going to do great. I still like the long-term targets. That's the beauty of having a low time frame view and a high time frame view. Let me just pull up where is it? Pull up this chart. I still like the 2-year moving average. I still like the power law. All that stuff still looks great. Like, we're still fine here. As far as the power law corridor, we're still not above the midpoint, which is now at 82. The next support on the power law corridor would be 42.4, which is some sort of diagonal or something. I don't know what the calculation is, but so, it's not over. It's still fine. It just needs time. That's all. It just needs time. I think I have the 2-year moving average on here somewhere, don't I? Maybe on this one. Let's go to 2-day. So like we're not even to the midpoint on this. It's still curling up. So no, I don't think the cycle's over. Just needs time. Just needs time. So you can either go to cash, you can do nothing, you can take partial profit rebalancing. It just depends on your viewpoint, your time horizon. Most people probably just do nothing. There's really nothing to do. For people that were waiting to DCA, I think it's smart Not financial advice, but I think it's smart to do that once we are below the 20-week moving average. Typically a good time for that, especially if we get below the 200-day moving average. Typically a good time for that. And that's kind of it, but there's no trade here in the moment for sure on BTC. Is there anything else? I guess we can talk about hash ribbons. So hash ribbons look worse in that the hash rate is still plummeting. And this whole signal might be broken, not just because it looks terrible, but because of the AI data center stuff. We're seeing a lot of miners peel off to do something else. So is that miners capitulating, or is that miners finding better work elsewhere, right? It doesn't matter for this indicator. We'll find out. I don't know. But 30, 60-day hash rate has just gotten absolutely rocked. Again, another one I was looking at was MVRV, which is below 2 from 3. This is market cap versus realized value. Realized value is the coin value of coins last moved on chain. Put it like that. So the unrealized value is shrinking. Unrealized profits are shrinking. And if we look at Puel is getting crushed. This is just basically how comfortable are the miners. They're getting rocked, right? Because profitability is way down. So miners not having a great time, for sure. That's why they're selling, you know. That's why they're selling. Anyway, is there anything else in Bitcoin that's important? I don't think so. PCE, see where it is relative to the cloud. Not worried about the long term. That's kind of it. I feel like TA has been 50-50 in this whole market unpredictability. The market is nonsense. I would disagree with that. The trick is knowing when to hit the gas or to hit the brakes, right? A lot of people they'll make a ton of money on the way up, and then they'll lose everything in this chop. They're rushing trades, they have conviction that shouldn't be conviction, you know. They're sizing incorrectly, they're taking too much leverage. That's the key. Wait for your pitch, wait for the better setups, and have full conviction, right? Like when we were talking about weekly edge-to-edge trades that happen once every 4 years, like, yeah, I'm pretty highly convicted on that. That was a great trade. Up here at the moment on the weekly, I don't really have anything. You could say, well, there's a bearish TKC clamp. This could go to 49 based on the cloud. It could, right? That's basically the M double top again, just rearing its ugly head. I just think we need time. We need more time. The key June, let's see, it's been 17 bars, so it hasn't even been 60 bars yet. The key June's going to be there for a while, so unless we make higher highs, because that's the 50% of the past 60 bars on the weekly. I guess the only other thing would be the halving chart. We can pull that up. We're just early on expectations for that as well. If we dial this back to you can see us in the black there. We're on day 68. And we don't really do much of anything until day 100 typically. And even then, like, none of this is a promise. It's just what's happened before. And if we look at last halving, we were in a much different spot relative to where we are now, you know, on the daily. We still had this like wishy-washy nonsense on lower time frames. This took months to play out. This could take all of Q3, right? Last time we didn't start moving until October. I don't think that's a coincidence. Q4 is generally very, very bullish. So, you know, again, I just don't see a great setup here just yet until we're above or below the cloud. It's kind of it. So, chop with a forecast of chop. Looking at ETH, we'll go to Kraken for that. Like, is there a setup here at all for anybody? Now you could say you have some viewpoint on the ETFs. My viewpoint is the inflows will be weak. The outflows from ETH will be high. I don't care about the fees. I don't care about the discount argument. What else do people tell me? I think there's so many ETH people who have this bags on bags of ETH that they're just like hoping this goes up. They're trying to will it higher. I'll happily be wrong here, but I don't think this is a tradable event until, like, show me 2 weeks after the ETFs launch and we'll talk, you know. Like it took a month for GBTC to stop distributing. I don't think it's going to take that long for ETH. But give me 2 weeks, right? So this was post GBTC unlock. We got a great pattern. We got a great trade. We got all sorts of amazing setups here based on the cloud, based on the chart pattern. This was a great setup, okay? Here on ETH, what is this, right? So let's get the ETF approved, launched, whatever. Let's see what the flows are. Let's see what the outflows are. I'd rather react to it than try to predict what I think is going to happen. You could argue this on ETH as well. You could argue this on ETH, right? Depends. Are we going to break lows? Are we going to break highs? It's easier to react to that than put a position on now with conviction. I just don't see it. It's the same thing with, we can go to this version on BTC. This inverted head and shoulders potential, does it exist? It exists. Am I confident here that it's going to play out? No. So I don't take the trade. But it's possible, right? It's possible. I'm not saying it's not possible. Same thing with ETH. Like, that's possible. Same exact trade, right? There's a world where, like, we could see, let's pretend though the ETFs are turbo bullish. We could see ETH, let's say the ETH outflows are nothing. Let's say the inflows are enormous for whatever reason. You know, we could see ETH to 5,000 in July. I doubt that happens in July. I'm a big doubter of that. It's not clean on the daily. It's not clean on the weekly. I just think it needs more time. Needs more time, like everything. The difference between the ETH ETF launch and the BTC ETF launch. BTC was a first mover. BTC had liquidity on its side in Q4. And it had the halving narrative. I don't know what ETH has here. I don't know what it has. I couldn't tell you. You could say, well, the issuance is lower. It's got all these blah, 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 DeFi, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Does anybody care? Does anybody care? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But it's easier. It's going to be easier to trade what you get rather than trying to predict what might happen here. one other thing that could happen on ETH, there is this falling wedge opportunity. So before we had this, you could say, you know, maybe there's something here. So it doesn't look like it's dead, it's over bearish. I just like, show me what the flows are first. Show me. Exactly. I always want to call you Archer, but it's not Archer. It's like Acker or something. Show me what the flows are. Show me what the outflows are. I've got my viewpoint because of what we saw with BTC. I think we have far fewer tailwinds than we did here. So that's it, right? And if BTC is bearish going into July, I highly doubt ETH is going to go in the other direction. So we can look at ETH BTC. ETH BTC, just like the Snek chart, that's going to be a meme. Just like the Snek chart, the first thing I see on this chart is this possibility of a bottom. It doesn't even need to be a inverted head and shoulders. It can be some sort of, what are these called? Is it broadening wedge? Something, right? It could be this. We can like map this out with the channel, and we can say that's the channel, it's above the midpoint, great. Just like the Amazon and Google charts, like if this thing is knocking on this horizontal resistance for months, it has a pretty good shot at breaking it, right? Sorry, let me go to 3. So that's the range, great. Where do we measure this from fib-wise? I usually just go conservative on everything, but we'll just say there to there. So let's say the ETF launches and we're bullish, and then what do we do up here? Does everything collapse? I don't know. Is that a trade? Sure. I think trading ETH BTC directly is very difficult. It is extremely choppy. So this possibility reminds me of the Link possibility. We'll take a look at that in a second. But before Link broke out in Q4 last year, it kind of looks similar to this. It was tighter on the range, but I'm kind of expecting this. So I'm expecting this would be like ETH outflows. ETH outflows keep this ratio down, probably around 0.5. And then again, Q4, like Q4, go nuts. Just go wild. This is where's October. The problem with Q4 for ETH is ETH doesn't typically do well in the back half of the year. Do the ETFs disrupt the seasonality? They might, you know. So there are ways to game this out, but it's just a wait and see. You could say, well, I'm bullish enough here. I'm going to take some sort of trade setup, partial open long or something. I don't know, right? Like, sure. If you think that's the case, we are above the 2-day cloud for the first time in 500 days. So that's a sign. That's something. 3 days isn't really helping you much here. The reason I'm going up on the clouds is because the daily has told you nothing. It's been noise, right? So what is the 2-day? Well, the 2-day has told you down, 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 down. Oh, okay. Today, yesterday, we closed above the cloud. Okay, right? Like there's a catalyst for that with the ETF. There's an inverse catalyst for this with people selling BTC, right? The meth heads love that argument. They're like, oh man, Germany's got BTC. The U.S. government, Uncle Sam, he's selling BTC. Miners, they're selling BTC. You know how many whales early in ETH's history still have so much ETH to sell? Do you know how many? A billion, zillion, trillion. Okay, so yeah, there's a lot of ETH out there too. But yes, those entities are selling. I get it. That's the inverse, you know, the weakness argument for BTC relative to ETH. So there isn't a, how can I say this without a double negative? There's positive TA here for price appreciation. That's it, right? Just depends how the ETFs look. It depends if BTC collapses. It's just a tough, I don't think it's a home run slam dunk trade with BTC looking like it is. If BTC looked slightly more bullish, I'd say, yeah, go for it. But here, I'm just worried that BTC is going to break 60. That's my first concern. But yeah, there's TA for higher on ETH BTC for the first time in a long time. I don't think there was anything else. I'm trying to think on ETH BTC. If you want to get maximally bullish, it would be revisiting the 2022 highs based on measuring the range. But I think you just have to wait and see. I guess we could look at what do the MAs look like? The MAs are all over the place still. 5200 bull cross for the first time. So golden cross for the first time since January 23 is coming up. Still below the 200 week. So it's tradable. I don't know if it's for me, but it's tradable. Do you think the presidential election is likely to affect how many? I don't know why everyone's worried about like cycle top. Like for these people asking about cycle stuff, is this your first cycle? Or are you just worried? Like everybody's so worried about downside that it's like we're capped, it's over. Like I gotta get out. I gotta get out before the next fool gets out. Biden is spending money. Trump is going to spend just as much money. The only concern here is if Biden wins, he has less of a reason to bow down to the crypto crowd. So will we see a reaction on that? For instance, let's say Trump does horrible in the debate today. There's a debate today, by the way. If Trump does horrible, does that translate into bearish crypto? Does that translate into Trump losing in the polls? I don't know. I don't think it matters, personally. If Biden is awful in the debate tonight, does that mean they're going to replace him? And then is that bullish or bearish for crypto? If they replace Biden with somebody who can actually beat Trump, which I think is just about anybody at this point, is that bullish for crypto? I don't think so. I think the best case for crypto is they run Biden all the way to the election and he loses and Trump wins, right? That's all everyone's expectation. So I think that's the market is going to trade on that. What will happen after that when Trump gets into office? Who the hell knows? But up until that point, that's where the market's head is at for sure. Let me just read chat. Yeah, another way to measure trade setups, I see people talking about. So let's say on this ETH BTC trade, right? Let's say we think, again, let's just be conservative. We'll say our target is up here. Here is our entry. Potentially our stop loss would likely be any lower low. So this is your trade setup. This gives you a number in TradingView. If you look at the left quick launch tooltip thing, whatever this is, long short position, and you figure it out based on fibs, right? Which is what we're doing here. It gives you a number, and you can say, I'm only comfortable taking a 2-to-1 trade. Okay, this is a 3, so that's a trade worth taking. You just have to be honest with yourself on expectations of where you think price is going to go, right? So if you don't have entry, exit, stop loss, you're not going to be able to price out your risk reward. So if anything, it forces you to figure out what's my plan for this trade. But this is how I would trade ETH BTC. Where there isn't a setup, there isn't a trade, there isn't a risk reward, right? It's just, it all talks to itself. Like on BTC, what is your trade here? On high time frames, I guess it would be the M double top, but that's probably a couple days or weeks yet to play out. If we just look at that low time frame, this double bottom, right? We can do the same thing. We can say there's that, there's this. We'll be mildly conservative on where we think it's going. So that's this is a breakout trade, much like the ETH BTC trade, so it depends on where you put your entry exactly, but let's say your stop loss would be a lower low. This trade setup is 1.8. Okay, is that good enough to take the trade? At this point in time, probably not for me, but again, like if you like this setup, go for it. You can also say your stop loss is going to be the midpoint of the eve or something, right? You can make your stop loss tighter to make the trade more palatable. I don't know if that is generally a great idea, but you can always do that. The thing is with a lot of these double bottoms or these chart patterns, we talked back to the Snek chart. We talked about the head and shoulders nature. Like this could morph into a triangle, right? Which is why you'd probably want your stop loss down here. You don't want to make lower lows. So yeah, that's how you'd measure those trade setups. I think someone's going to mention crypto tonight. Don't you? I think, isn't it the beta like 9 EST, or am I crazy? I don't actually know what time it is. I'm not sure. Okay, so we looked at ETH, we looked at Sol. Let's take a look at Sol BTC real quick. So this one, here's a great example of like, are you still bearish with new information? Back to the Snek chart. Snek doesn't look like this. But with any chart pattern, there's always going to be a invalidation criteria, right? So Sol BTC is not above, it's not making a higher high. It's not invalidated yet in my book, regardless of, ETF, whatever. It's still below the daily cloud. It still has this head and shoulders possibility. At this point, it would be a multi-shouldered head and shoulder, but whatever, right? Like we just had an example of this in Q4. It took a whole year to play out, but we got there. This could take another couple weeks, couple months to play out. But I can't see this and just assume like we're going to be bullish. So that does not look bullish to me. Sol ETH had a potential for an ascending triangle. But I don't think anybody, even with an ETF application, I don't think anybody wants to trade Sol over ETH here with pre-ETF. If it depends how it goes with the flows and the outflows, right? But I wouldn't trade this to the long side, this pair, until we know what happens with the ETF for ETH. And this is just a filthy range too. This is gross, right? So there's no trend. What is this, right? It's nothing. If anything, maybe this is a head and shoulders as well. I don't know. It's all over the place. It's all over the place. That's those three. BNB. So I was in a BNB trade, stopped out. We were just above the cloud a couple days ago, and I said, okay, like it's obviously going to break down. That just happened. That happens, right? I mean, welcome to trading. Sometimes trades work out, sometimes they don't. it would be hard to even put a stop loss on this because normally I go to a lower time frame. And I talk a lot about the Williams fractals. I guess your stop loss could have been 660 based on the fractals. But this was literally straight up, straight down in like 6 days. You know, like it took 6 months to consolidate and 6 days to break out and fail. Like that's not a good look, but you got to respect the chart for what it is. You know, like it didn't work out. Is this a falling wedge down here? Maybe. Is this gonna pull up? Maybe, but it clearly did not like 700. Okay, so I'm out of that trade. I've been out of that trade for a while now, but this does not look bullish for BNB either. Yeah, I agree, Dell. I think we can. I was gonna say we can pull up the unemployment numbers, but we don't have this month's yet. But it feels like we're getting close to a tipping point with unemployment, and depending on your viewpoint on the market, you're gonna think one thing versus the other. But if they want to risk a less soft landing, then that's the risk now. It's like, okay, we could break the employment market. We could force a recession if we're not careful here at this point. You could say, why would they cut? Indices are at all-time highs. Well, what do they want? You know, do they want unemployment spiking or not? That's basically where we're at here. It's going to hit a tipping point for sure. That tipping point's typically the Solemn rule, and that's potentially going to get triggered in a couple months, if not this month. So, yeah, I think we're getting close. We're getting close. We can pull up the numbers. I'm curious if they've changed at all. I doubt it. Let me just take a look. No, they haven't really changed. So July right now is no cut. And then it's basically 50-50 for the rest of the year. The market's pricing in potentially 2 cuts by January, but you know, this is a coin flip at this point. So if we get rates down, if we get liquidity up, you know, if, then we'll have a tailwind. Then we can say, like, let's party, but not really seeing it at the moment. Link, like I said, with the ETH BTC chart, Link kind of had this same thing. Like Link was in a longer consolidation, I think, than ETH BTC, but same type of idea where it had, I think this is a broadening wedge, right? It had this broadening wedge that eventually, like literally, what is this? A year and a half, right? It broke out of the cloud, and that was the final straw for bullish continuation. So ETH BTC to me is leaning bullish similarly for this reason. On the TA, anyway. I have these 6 charts, just like Snek, just like the Snek chart. These are not bullish to me until we're making a higher high. Like I could be totally wrong on all these charts, and this is the bottom, and we're gonna moon, but you can't say that really until we're making higher highs or something, right? There's been no strength. We're losing horizontal support. Why would you be bullish? Why? I don't know. Why would you be bullish? Problem is a tendency to wait too long to do everything. I agree. The biggest of coins. I agree. They waited way too long to hike. Way too long to hike. So, you know, I don't know. Maybe they're going to learn their lesson this time through. Maybe the election's going to push them one way or the other. Based on what I'm seeing on the Fed speak, all of the hawks are just saying we're not there yet. We need to see that we're closer to 2%. Okay. All right. We'll find out. We'll find out how high the jobs print, unemployment print goes, I guess. But I don't see a trade on any of these. Link, AVAX, Rune, Dot, IMX, Filecoin, anything that looks like this. For me, there's just not a trade on any of this stuff. Meme coins we looked at, same thing. What else crypto-wise can we look at? Are there any other BTC charts that are relevant? I looked at XMR BTC on the video yesterday. I don't think there's anything here at the moment that's tradable. But I guess if you're a Monero bull, it's good that it's moving through the cloud. I don't know. I really don't think there's... I haven't gone through all of these to look for setups, but I really don't think there's anything. I'm saying Maker, like this is probably the best you're going to get, is just some mega consolidation, multi-year consolidation, where this thing just has done nothing, right? But it's setting up for a bullish breakout. We'll put it like that. So Q4. If any of this stuff's going to break out, it's going to be Q4 in my book. All right, let's take a look. Let's take a look at some viewer requests. Trying to think if we have anything useful. Guess not. What if what if AVAX reclaims that broken support? Yeah, so if we say, I mean, look at this chart. Woof, 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 woof. All right, so let's start with daily. Daily cloud, we are way below the daily cloud. We don't have a pattern yet on the daily. Like, here's the thing, right? This daily bearish reversal pattern was 187 days. So are we going to trust a 7-day pattern that might emerge here? Not only is this broader pattern 187 days, but it had a bottom attempt right here, and it failed. It just went, nope, see you later. See you later. And even this was 36 days, right? I'm just looking at this and thinking, okay, right? Like, is this a inverted head and shoulders in the making? It could be. Is it going to be the one? I mean, it could be, but I think that's unlikely. I think that's unlikely. So I don't like this. I don't like anything until it's back above the daily cloud, obviously, but until this is back above 42, it's not for me. If we wanted to cheat it a little bit for alts, you can use the 12-hour. That would be 32, 33. But I don't see anything there. AKT, somebody keeps asking about AKT. Oh boy. Oh boy. It just reminds me of like the NVIDIA rant that you've got bears who are bearish all the way up and sound like fools when they're like, I told you so, because obviously that's useless. But this was clearly more bullish than it has been currently, right? Or recently, I guess I should say. It certainly has, this this M all over it as well. I just think it needs time. The easiest trend trades you're going to ever find are going to be above the daily cloud 100% of the time, right? And we're just so far below the daily cloud, it needs time. It needs weeks, months. Is this a bottom on some low time frame? Like, clearly something is trying to happen, right? It's just a matter of whether or not you want to take that trade or not. It's not for me. It's super low time frame. It's one of the reasons why I like the TLT chart. Like this is a chart, right? like you could say this is the same thing about ETH BTC. This has been below the 3-day cloud for almost 1,400 days, right? It's the wrong cloud. Let's put it on the right cloud. 1,400 days, okay? 1,350. Let's just be conservative. So am I going to take this more serious if this looks like a bottom attempt? Yeah, like sure. Is it perfect? No. Is it going to win the beauty pageant for a chart pattern? No. But but something is trying to happen, okay? That's a lot different than going to the hourly and saying, not that this is why you're bringing this up, person in the chat, but it's a lot different, right? This thing has just grinded out for a long time, regardless of how you feel about US long bond stuff. The TA for this is starting to look increasingly bullish if it can break that level. So unless an alt looks like that, I don't see a trade. Here's LTC. Not that anybody asked for this or cares, but what is this? This is nothing. What was the other first round on Josh at Iron Hill tonight? Tia. Sure, let's look at Tia. My leg fell asleep. Hold on. Oh, God. All right. Tia. Much like a lot of the alts, they had this bottom attempt. It just didn't pan out, right? Didn't pan out. You had the Adam and Eve. Like, this is what can happen with BTC, right? On low time frames. You had a pretty clear-cut Adam and Eve that didn't immediately break out. Then the next pattern would be a triple bottom. Okay, that clearly broke. And that's your sign to stay the heck away from this thing. Does it look bad enough to buy? I don't think so. There's not a div there. There's no bull div. One other thing I just remembered on BTC. There's a crypto.com, sure. Terrible exchange. There is a bull div here. It is a higher low with a lower low in RSI. So it's telling you momentum tried to shove this thing lower and failed. Well, right now it's a hidden bull div. This hidden bull div could fail the moment you make a lower low below 57? 57.7. So if we break 57.7, that cancels out the bull div. So you might be asking yourself, who cares? It's wishy-washy 50-50, and yeah, okay, you're right. It's 50-50. So be careful, but there's at least something there. There's at least something there. The other one was Tau. Is that on Kraken? I think it is, right? They don't really have enough data yet, do they? No. They must have just added that one token. TAO. TAO. Another one. Failed bottom attempt, right? No. I don't really see anything here, personally. Nothing. Not for me. Bearish. Just reading. How low can it go? These alts, they don't really have a bottom, you know? Back to AKT. I don't know. The first thing you always do is just measure. Measure with the fibs. It could go 180, 230. You know? That's where it measures. So if this fails, that's the next place. You can look at VPVR, go to a high time frame. Takes a second to calculate. So there's a volume node at 242. There's a volume node at $1.64. You can turn on pivots. Pivots also help you out. So it's looking like $1.88. 200-day moving average, $1.88. No, that's not the 200-day, sorry. That's the 600-day. I don't know, lower, right? You just have to use volume or pivots or fibs or moving averages, something to help you find a support. Bottom is zero, I agree. All of the AI coins took a hit today. What's that about? FET reversed, Ocean. Did they cancel the merger or something? That's ugly. Near looks like junk. Render looks like junk. Matic. Mega junk. ETC junk. INJ junk. All this stuff just needs, give it 3 months. I'm telling you, you're going to be much happier looking for trades. Flow looks terrible. ENA, straight to zero. What a terrible looking chart. Yeah, that's crypto. Any other crypto requests before we go to legacy? Oh, ENS, somebody was asking about. ENS had a inverted head and shoulders a couple days ago. I guess it's still there. So you could say there's your neckline, there's something, right? Something, you know, good enough, not perfect. We'll say that is our fib. And again, you can always just say, all right, right? Like, doesn't matter what I think about this coin, but if that looks like a trade based on risk reward worth taking, yeah, you've got a chart pattern on your side. It's above the daily cloud. It looks better than most everything right now. I can tell you that much, right? Looks better than Sol, ETH, BTC. I don't think we've seen a single coin that looks as good as this. Am I going to take that trade? Probably not, but I could see the rationale for it. Sure. Coinbase said they weren't accepting the merger. Yeah, somebody is bringing up Lido. I think the ETH beta, if the ETF goes well, the ETH beta, the ETH adjacent staking stuff might start to do better. But, man, this thing has been ranging since inception. I don't really see a trade here, honestly. Just looks like junk to me. I think that's it for crypto. I think that's it for crypto. Let's switch to legacy. Let's take a look at IBIT. So this is what the boomers are looking at. The boomers are looking at double top. I'm assuming that's what the boomers are going to say. The boomers might say, this is IBIT. The boomers might say, well, It's down. It's down 16, 20%. Good time to buy. Drawdown. I don't know. That's probably wishful thinking, but it's probably what they're saying. I'm assuming. MSTR looks just like BTC to me, so it's not as bearish as BTC. It's still above the cloud. Like, again, there is this argument for this bottom thing, you know. I doubt MSTR would break out first, but if it's above 17, that's probably a good sign for BTC. So it would be, you know, like this, something like that. Divided by BTC, someone was asking about. It's bullish. Doesn't make sense to me, but this is clearly trying to bottom on a weekly time frame. I would treat, if you are trading this, I would treat it like leveraged BTC because that's how it's acting. It's acting like BitX and BITU, and it's beta to BTC for the most part. Coin's in the biddable sweet spot, but it still is in the cloud. I personally just like all this stuff back at highs rather than like risking a trade here. I like it better at 250 than I do at 225. The cloud is mixed here. So coin at 250, MSTR at 1700. The miners still look good. WGMI holding highs there, looks fine. It's above the cloud. CleanSpark kind of looks like coin, just a choppy range. Choppy range. So neutral, right? Like unexciting. Nobody wants to hear that, but neutral. IREN. I think IREN needs some time. It exploded higher. Undoubtedly, it's still bullish. Probably some sort of falling wedge there, but there's not a trade for me here in the near term. This needs to settle down quite a bit. I still like Cypher. It hasn't broken out. And as far as fundamentals go, I don't know if they have AI partnerships yet or anything like that. A lot of these other miners are popping up on some AI deals. So if Cypher goes into that avenue, I'd expect this to do decently okay. I like the setup already, right? This thing's been consolidating for over a year. And if we zoom out even more, I just like how it sits price-wise. Bitfarms ranging sideways, needs time. Most of these miners are just blah, you know. Huge range. What you really want to see is you want to see some sort of tradable setup that hasn't already happened. So like for this, what is left here? I don't know. Hive, same thing. There's just nothing there that's clean. Cores was up a ton. Not a fan of this company. This doesn't look like there's a trade there. For me, Marathon, mining shitcoins, so good for them. But this is not a chart for me at this point in time. Get above the daily cloud, we can talk. Wolf, similar to IREN. I'm sure on IREN there's like a target higher, but this stuff just needs to calm down a little bit first. BT, they just had some AI deal, I think, right? This has got kind of Eve Atom to it. So maybe there's a trade here at 4. I don't know. But the miners move. The percentages on the miners have been insane lately. They move way more than alts. Like, we're talking about 20% days. So if you want alt-like trades in Legacy and want to do a little digging on fundamentals of these miners, just an idea. Agree, you know, these just look like junk to me down here. But hey, maybe if you're bullish in the cycle, you start DCAing into these. I don't know. Just, they are very, very volatile. What else we got? Hood. Hood looks fine. I don't really think there's anything to say. Still kind of probably overbought, but it's on its way probably eventually to 40. I don't think there's an immediate setup or anything there. Nubank. This is another one with an ascending triangle on it. Looks great. They're Brazil fintech. They have crypto, adjacent stuff, bullish on the cloud. So this is the chart I like. This looks great. PayPal, other end of the spectrum. US fintech, complete junk. Unfortunately, it fell below the 3-day cloud. Maybe in the next couple months, this will be a trade again. But you do not want to see something break into the cloud for the first time in 900 days and then fall below the cloud. That is not a good look. Not a good look. What else? ETH, why not? Doesn't really look too different to spot. Okay, we looked at all those. We looked at miners. Miners broadly bullish. Certainly look better than BTC. Certainly. Let's go indices. I think all of the indices look a little overbought to me. On trend. They're hanging out up there, so good for them. But we look a little overbought, for sure. I think that's undoubtedly the case for the S&P. The Q's still slightly overbought. Strong, definitely strong, but slightly overbought. IWM still looks like a basket case to me. Head and shoulders, whatever, chop, garbage, nonsense. Needs rates to come down. Tons of zombie companies in the Russell. DJI, choppy. I don't know, range. There's probably some sort of pattern up here. I hope it's not a diamond top, but maybe. I don't know. Just kind of chopping around. I think anything that looks like PayPal, like we can go down the list, right? We can look at Peloton. Okay, Peloton, just dumpster fire. Maybe they go bankrupt, maybe they get acquired, maybe they do better when rates are down. Maybe the company's just garbage. I don't know. Zoom is another one. Is Zoom going to get acquired, or like, you know, does this company have a future? I don't know, but it's not above the high time frame cloud. It's making all-time lows. It doesn't look good. Doesn't look good for Zoom. So PayPal's kind of similar. It's not all-time lows, but I just think if it tried to move through resistance, it failed. The next step is we're back in the range. Do we test the lows? Do we do anything when rates come down? So that's the next thing to watch. Someone's asking about Backed. I haven't looked at this chart in a very long time. this kind of has a like a descending broadening wedge characteristic to it. The best example of this ever was on the Bed Bath & Beyond chart, but that is no longer in existence. So even if you weren't trading the pattern, the cloud is already telling you, you know, anything above 36 and we're probably good to go. But I never understood why this company existed. I don't know who uses this company. I've never talked to anybody who works for this company. Somebody just interviewed, was it Peter who talked to the CEO or something? I don't know. Fundamentally, I don't know why this company exists, personally. Okay. Dixie, just hit this real quick. Undeniably, unfortunately bullish. Hopefully this can fail. If this is above 107, I think we're all going to start filling out applications for the Golden Arches. The Golden Arches, I can be the technician for the board. I haven't been to McDonald's in years. But, I can be one of the technicians who fixes the ordering touchboard, whatever that's called. I could do that, right? I think most people could. Yeah, we do not want this breaking up, but it looks like it wants to, unfortunately. UJ, we talked about, just on a path to infinity. We don't want to see that. The moment this thing actually gets weak is super bullish for crypto, because that means dollar is not as strong. TLT I talked about. I think that looks potentially very, very bullish. Pfizer was another one. Pfizer is going to invoke a lot of feelings in a lot of people, which is fine. That's just the chip talking, but I'm kidding. I just like the trend potential here. They're getting sued by like 10 states. Whatever. Okay, I get it. But I like where this could go, as long as it doesn't make lower lows. Uber was a trade I took. Started to open a position. This is like on its way to potentially playing out. So I like the structure of this. It just needs time. But inverted head and shoulders potential, cloud breakout potential, looks okay. Here we go. Joey in the chat talking about Pfizer. Look, if you don't like Disney or Pfizer, don't trade the chart. I'm just saying, as a technician, I like the chart. That's all I'm saying. Backed on the daily. Yeah, I mean, it's in the cloud. You could say cup and handle, I guess. But, you know, it's like trading DOT. Does anybody give a flying flip about that token? Let's be honest, no. Does anybody really care about this company? Probably not, you know, probably not. So I don't know why this company would go up just based on fundamentals. Kind of needs a catalyst. Yeah, some of the biotech stuff you can see, maybe you can't, but I've got Merck on my watch list as well. IBB, XLV. This stuff has got, it kind of looks like ENS, honestly. Like, you know, it's got, if you turn your head sideways, it's got a inverted head and shoulders potential. I'm just looking for setups or trends that can keep me busy until Bitcoin figures itself out. So this chart looks tradable to me. XLV is similar. You know, is it a great setup? I don't know. It doesn't look horrible. But, you know, it's up to you, right? Like, I'm just kind of scanning the market and seeing what's out there. Yeah, Costco is another one. This probably is a low time frame, head and shoulders, yeah. So I was in this on the breakout, sold it a couple weeks ago now, I think. I can't remember which day, but it looks heavy up here. It looks heavy for sure. TKC clamp, low time frame, head and shoulders. Little small head and shoulders at the top there. Let's look at Peter Schiff's favorite chart. So this is like the Sol BTC. Yeah. Sol BTC. It's got this head and shoulders potential. Until that figures itself out, it's bearish to me. This leans bearish. It can't hold highs. It's making lower highs successively. This could make 4 more shoulders. As long as they're lower lows or lower highs, then it's still bearish to me. It's in the daily cloud as well. I'm not bullish on gold here, based on technicals. Just looks heavy. Looks heavy. Thank you, Tim. You don't have to love Pfizer. You don't have to love pick an alt that no one. Ripple, right? I've traded Ripple and made money. Okay, it's not even on my watch list. If there's a trade to take, and I think it's gonna go my way, that's all I'm doing here, right? Last time I seriously traded Ripple was somewhere back here, like 2017. It's been a long time. Ripple's basically just the LTC chart. Anyway, Disney, because I mentioned it, I haven't looked at this in a minute. Let's take a look. Nothing. I don't think there's anything there. Just a mess. There was a low time frame. This was before the breakout. Low time frame inverted head and shoulders, but I don't really see anything here. Someone asked about Intel. I've got an alert at 32 for Intel. I don't know what it's going to take to pull this company up, but it doesn't look amazing here. I don't know. K-Web's down another 2.5%. Is that down because of the Amazon thing? Amazon announced some Temu competitor. Just needs time. Yeah, it's trying to bottom. I sold Costco because I think because it was close to the target or past the target. I'd have to go back in the records and see which day I sold it, but I think I sold in the low 800s. So I was definitely early. It might have been 840. I don't remember. But I was looking at the pattern and the extension. It looked overbought to me, but it looks heavier here than it did when I sold it. That's for sure. Square, yeah. Square's another one. Like PayPal. I guess I'm just like, I don't know why I'm drawn to these fintech charts. Unfortunately, they're all kind of playing out the same, right? Like Square's gone nowhere. Like the alts, Q4, rates down, liquidity up. I don't know, but chart has done nothing for 2-3 years at this point. Let's go through the Mag 7 real quick. NVIDIA, daily, just looks chop to me. The two best trades on NVIDIA were both horizontal breakouts at what is now 50 and 100. Shockingly, the psychological supports or resistances were the best trades, and the cloud told you ahead of time. So those were the two best trades on NVIDIA. Much like Costco, this current price point for NVIDIA is within the wheelhouse of the expected move based on the fib extension of the consolidation. So I don't know how much more you can really expect just flat out. Like, yeah, it could keep going. It could triple from here, right? But just based on the previous consolidation, we've hit the target. So I think at this point, it just needs more time. Just needs more time. SMCI, I still think there's a trade here. Maybe this is an ascending triangle now. Maybe the cloud will flip back and forth. I don't know. I still think there's a trade here. I know this thing is up. This thing is up a bajillion %. But just like NVIDIA on those horizontal levels, I think there's a horizontal level at 950 that looks tradable to me. Apple, just like last week, I don't know what you do with this. It's just looks overbought to me. I don't think there's a trade there. Microsoft getting closer to its broadening wedge target. I don't really see anything else on that one in the near term. Amazon, we talked about the breakout. I really like Amazon because it's still close-ish to its previous all-time high. And it hasn't really exploded like the other Mag 7 stuff. So I still like Amazon. Meta, trying for another, is that another all-time high? Yeah. I mean, I talked about this probably 2 weeks ago or something, but the cloud is telling you, it has been, that this is a long trade. I don't believe it personally, but that's what the cloud is saying anyway. It's still saying that. Google, like Amazon, you know, it's tough because all of these are just straight up 45-degree angle. So the entries are always going to be most likely just horizontal resistance, which was the case at like 178. So what do you do now? I don't know. Joe Rogan killed Peloton. Netflix, again, like the cloud, the trend is telling you this is a trade. I just don't believe it. So that's Netflix. I don't know what to say about that. Tesla still has the inverted head and shoulders. So that's playing out. It's like, this is a great example. Backed. Are more people trading backed, BKKT? Are more people trading that chart or Tesla? I'm not saying one company is better or worse than the other. I'm just saying there's more eyeballs trading Tesla. So if there's a pattern here, or there's some sort of bias that you see, it's probably going to play out more often than not on Tesla than backed, just because the entire world is looking at this chart every day, guaranteed. So it's well on its way to making it through the cloud and this inverted head and shoulders target playing out. You could probably make some diagonal case for this as well. But it looks good, undeniably. Looks really good. Berg's going to operate the ice cream machine. I'm going to be the technician for the touch screens. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. All right, some people had some requests. What's the stop loss on IBB? Just lower lows. So 133. 133. Any breakout trade for me, the horizontal, you always want to look for the horizontal. If there isn't one, try to force it, make one, and then it's typically a bullish bias consolidation because you're making higher lows. So whatever the most recent low is should be the stop loss of that trade. So if it's truly bullish, it's not going to make a lower low. GR, is this grinder? Why are you asking me about this? Oh man. What is this chart? What is this chart? It broke out, right? I don't think there was necessarily anything. If anything, it's a failed Head and Shoulders. I don't know, this chart's all over the place. I mean, it looks good, right? It looks good. It broke out. Wall Street Bets was pushing it. Oh, okay. There you go. Snap. Yeah, there's a lot of these. Snowflake is one. Snap is one. It's like Square was one. It's in the weekly cloud. It doesn't quite have the clean setup it had back here pre-COVID, but it's kind of the similar horizontal level, you know? I don't know. Any chart that looks like this probably needs rates to come down. Carvana, someone was asking about. Whew. I remember talking about this. I did not take this trade, but and this is the problem with fundamentals versus technicals. Like, I just had the feeling that this company was garbage, and is, but it didn't matter, right? So the last time I looked at this was this Head and Shoulders. So it had that, it had this, and I know I talked about this on video or stream, but it also has this. It also had Adam and Eve, right? Everything about this chart for months has been saying it's trying to bottom, it's trying to bottom, it's trying to bottom. The fib extension on the larger Head and Shoulders, this one, is still higher, but what I'd be concerned with here is rising wedge. You just got to be careful of this. You can see through all my scribbles. I don't know, something like that, I guess. But some sort of rising wedge. I would just be careful because I think it hit the, yeah, so it hit the tiny inverted Head and Shoulders fib extension. It hit that level. Yeah, I would just be careful. Be careful of the wedge. It could just be a channel, but it looks like a wedge to me. Hymns, is this another Wall Street Bets special? It doesn't really look like anything to me. I don't really have anything to say. I don't see anything on this one. It just looks overbought. Didn't they add Ozempic or something to the offerings? Some pill or something, right? Am I misremembering that? Rivian was another one. Doppel brought this up in the in the Discord the day before it broke out, or the day of. What's the ticker? Is it RVN? Yeah. Same thing. Like, look, it had a pattern before the breakout. I talked about it in the Discord, and I said it's not for me because the company is trash. Didn't matter. Now they had a catalyst for that, but this is why you take these trades, because you just never know, right? If you've got the long bias and you get a catalyst that is bullish, this is what can happen, right? This is, you know, again, if you measure this out with some risk reward framework, I guess your entry, what would your entry actually would have been? Like down here? Yeah, so it would have been, I don't know, somewhere down here. And your exit somewhere up here, but it's still 2 to 3. I wouldn't sit in this now, personally, but you know, if you're looking for stuff, it's the same reason I tried Snowflake the other day, right? Like, I don't really know anything about this company. I don't really care. It had an attempted bottom on earnings. It failed, and I got out, right? So that was a $400 loss, but the upside potential was decent towards some sort of gap fill or something, right? I don't know. It had a similar pattern that overperformed previously. That was Q4. Different environment. Company's probably trash, right? You can go down the list, but it just wasn't meant to be. But that's why you cut that stuff, right? Like, okay, you had a thesis, you had a setup, exit, entry, stop loss. Don't just assume it's going to turn around. You cut it, you forget about it. Next trade, you move on. Just reading chat. Before we finish up here, any last requests? This is PLTR, Palantir, another one that a lot of people talk about. You know, it looks better. The cloud likes it more here than previously, but it's just such a choppy mess. No idea. Chewy, I think our pal Roaring Kitty talked about this one. This one's kind of in like the zoom. Is it halted? Is that what that means? I guess not. This one was kind of with the Zoom Peloton pandemic companies, where it was like swirling down the drain. I wasn't looking at this until today, okay, obviously, but you've got this, right? So I'm telling you, like, if you have confidence, if you see something that looks real, I think it's a tradable setup. And this has way overperformed past the cloud, past this pattern. But this is the stuff I like to take a stab at. Never admit your losses, just say you switched to short. I mean, this one was at an all-time low, right? Triple bottom, inverted head and shoulders. It's one of the reasons to just look around. You never know what you might find, right? I'd rather trade stuff like Nubank, where it's at all-time highs, ascending triangle. I'd rather trade stuff like Amazon, where I know everybody and their mother is looking at it, or Tesla. But there's plenty of stuff to see out there. You know, like the Costco chart. I just kind of got lucky that I was looking at that at the right time. Took the trade. Anyway, I think that's all we got for this one. DKNG, last call. Yeah, last call. Did we do Zeke? Says Scott. So let's take a look at DraftKings first. DraftKings. Is that anything? I don't think so. So this thing is up 300% in a year and a half. Might need some time. The cloud does not like it on the daily. similar to Chewy, Zcash. Okay, Zcash is, let's pick a different, Coinbase. What's the best exchange for Zcash? I guess it isn't quite an inverted head and shoulders. It's got to be a different exchange. There we go. All right, here's Bitfinex. Okay. It's at an all-time low, so I wouldn't expect much. Again, people looking at Tesla, yes. People looking at Amazon, obviously. People looking at Bakkt, probably not. People looking at Zcash, most definitely probably not, right? So keep that in mind. It's at an all-time low. One thing you could do is just say, I love the tech. I can't even say it seriously. I love the tech. I'm going to take the trade. Stop loss is new all-time lows. Just see what happens, right? Like on the weekly there is, you know, maybe this pulls up to 100. I don't know. I think this is a terrible trade. I would never take this trade, but if I was taking this trade, this is what I would say. Long stop loss at, what is the all-time low? Or what is the current? We'll say, whatever this is, 1889. There you go, you know. But man, if you've been holding this thing for years, what are you doing? What are we doing? What are we even doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? And you just know that against BTC, it's far worse. Far, far worse. That's your life on Zcash. That's your brain on Zcash, okay? Scrambled. Garbage. Anyway. All right. I think that's all I got on this fine Thursday. Thanks for hanging out. We'll talk Sunday. Hopefully we're not below 60K as we just continue to drip. Hopefully PCE helps us pull up. Hopefully PCE helps us break the UJ correlation. I don't know. Anyways, that's all I got. Have a good one, guys. Take care. See you Sunday.